Welcome to Kill Team Casuals, a podcast all about Kill Team filmed in 3 different time zones by 3 different gents. Enjoy.
Hey friends, Ben here, the only one on the podcast without a cool accent. Just dropping by to say thanks a ton for listening or watching, however you enjoy the podcast. It really does mean a lot to us. And if you are a faithful listener or unfaithful listener, we don't judge, and you're thinking, man, I just can't get enough of these 3 rascally boys and their casual Kill Team talk. What else can I do to support? Where else can I find these guys? Well, friend, I would point you to the Kill Team Casuals Patreon page. For just a few bucks a month, whatever you wouldn't miss falling out of your pocket, you can get access to the full long-form video podcast, as well as stay up to know, in the know, or all around the know, all up inside the know, if you will, on what's going on, all these Patreon extracurricular activities, this fun stuff. So, and if you want to be a real baller, you could even be a guest on Legions of Rust, the world-famous game show at the very tippy-top tier. And if you want to be the coolest nerd at your local game store, you can check out some sweet, sweet Casual Wargamers merch. That's short for merchandise, if you didn't know, at our Teespring shop. It's getting a little too silly. casualwargamers.creator-teespring.com. And as always, we go live most Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. Thanks so much. I will shut up. Back to the lovely show.
That box gets revealed, and then they presumably miss their deadline, and then the next box gets revealed before the first one's been launched. Yeah. And now I'm like, well, I'm real hyped about the Night Lords, and because my hype is now shifted, I care so much less about the Scouts and the Striking Scorpions, Banshees, Dire Avengers. I am.
You could nearly not remember what was in that other box.
Yeah, just then I was just like, what?
I could hear it.
It's a bit like I have worries. I mean, let's just discuss the models. So if you're watching, apologies. Let's just make sure that this isn't one of the clips. So I've last minute remembered that I was having to do the stream for reasons, and I had plenty of time when Reese originally said, "Could you do the stream?" I had plenty of time. But because I instantly forgot that I was doing it, I didn't get any pictures ready. So I don't have any pictures. It would be easy. You know what I do have? I've got a Patreon ad. Join the Patreon, folks. If you want me to prioritize more time to making the streams better, please consider joining the Patreon. But yeah, no, so I don't have pictures, but the models for the new upgrade sprue for the Legionaries, the models that for the Night Lords look very schmick. Have you seen them?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Now, what are your thoughts?
Unlike you, I gave them more than a passing glance. I was staring very closely, so closely that the pictures were now becoming low resolution. I was that close to them. We discussed this a couple of weeks ago, actually, talking about the idea that we had heard the rumors of the Night Lords thing. What would it be? Yeah. What would it look like? Would it be an upgrade sprue? Yes, it is. But I must admit, I don't mind this because, one, I love Night Lords. I think they're one of my favorite of the traitor legions. I think it's something that works really well for all Chaos players, whether it's 40k kill team. I think it's really, really cool. Only thing I worry, and I think you touched on this in our green room chat as well, are they going to feel different enough to the Legionaries, or are you going to want to play them over Legionaries? Are their specialists and their unique rules going to be enough to make you go, it's not just a slightly different team? How do you make them feel different enough?
I think that's the issue that I'm like, my trepidation, let's say, is that they're going to have to be so similar to Legionaries to make sure that you don't just negate Legionaries. And I know G-Dubs has the newest team is the best team kind of thing going. And I don't want them to just come out and be like, well, these guys have 14 wounds. And you're like, well, I'm not going to play Legion. You know what I mean? Like, I hope it's going to be, but in order for it to be the same, it means they do kind of kibosh their own team. So the new teams, we know it's going to be 6 models. It's going to be 13 wounds of the leader, and that's going to be some sort of power weapon and a plasma pistol, and presumably, like, it's going to be there's going to be two leader choices, one sort of chosen-y dude and one aspiring champ dude, or maybe not. They seem to have only shown us the model for a leader, so it looks like maybe they're cutting back on this chosen thingy. So we've just got the one leader, but there'll be that, instead of the hook chainsword, the hook parry thing, it'll be this new weird bastonet style chainsword.
Rib cage.
Yeah, I mean, probably, let's be honest, probably won't be as good as a power fist and or a power weapon, but we'll see.
Yep.
So maybe, unless they're using it to replace the chosen and just say, look, this is the same leader, let's not bother having two leaders because you'll never pick the chosen over the aspiring champ because the rules are just better. So instead, here is a different weapon set that is effectively the same thing, that makes a much more of a melee threat. But you've only got like 4 other models. You're going to have a heavy gunner, you're going to have a gunner, and an icon bearer, and then you've got the dude with the Space Marine body, you've got the poison blade with the bladed pistol, you've got the 2 chain fists, and you've got the butcher looking dude, and it is just sort of like, okay, like, we pretty much know what they're going to do. You can pretty much imagine dual fist dude's going to have relentless, he's your anointed, you've got your butcher, and you've got your poison shrive talon, your control piece, and the only thing that's really up for question now is, like, what are they? I mean, the what do you call it? Midnight Clad seems to be like, from the wording, if you're behind light and presumably outside of like maybe 6 inches, you'd treat light as obscuring. Yeah. I'd assume that's what it's going to be, because it's kind of something they've done before, and I was like, that's quite cool. I play a lot of maps with heavy terrain though. That's the only problem with that. Like, it'll help in certain scenarios. I was like, oof, that's not super amazing, but that might be cool on Octarius. Like, for deployment, that's going to be great for turn 1 deployment. It might be a more forgiving team for deployment. I'm like, that's quite cool, because it doesn't matter where you are. You're going to be outside of 6 inches. You're going to be obscured. Great. And if that negates vantage as well, amazing. Like, that'd be quite cool. But yeah, I think Ben put it to us in an interesting way too, and he kind of said, will these Night Lords be effectively like the Phobos of Legionnaires, so more heavily stealth based, and a lot of their character and the style of play will be made different through what their ploys are, what their team rule is, and obviously the built-in characteristics through their sheets as well. So what are they built? And that's it. It definitely looks like some of them are clearly going to have charge from conceal. That'd be
and
nice.
Things like that. Like. Yeah, so I think, but yeah, it is a shame in a way, and this maybe it's not a shame. Some people might not think, but I would love it if this team had other operatives or rules that really encourage you to leave the heavy gunner, leave the gunner at home. That, you know, there was things that were good enough that made you really not want to take them as a shooting team, but made you want to take them as purely a stealth melee focused team. That would be really, really cool.
Well, it does feel like Midnight Clad, if it is the 6 inches you're obscured behind light, is really promoting you to be like, well, you know what? Yeah, take an all close combat team and just race forward. The only problem is,
but remembering to hide.
Yeah, you still need to hide. It's a bit of a nightmare not a nightmare, but it's not great for loot missions. But that's the same with all legionaries. So I don't know how. Yeah, the interesting thing is going to be like, how far do they lean into that stealth kind of thing? Are they going to have? Like, I'd love that. Like, the thing is though, because it's just an upgrade sprue, they've semi-kiboshed the team, because they've shown us the team now, and it's like, so we know there's not a warp talon. Which I'm just like, I'm a little bit devastated. I'm like,
that was a miss. That was a miss.
That's something you could just throw in there, and it could be an upgrade sprue. They could just be like, here's a backpack, and here's like
just one operative with
different legs, different arms. But you know, like you could, or maybe just a backpack, and it's just like, hell, just use one. But like, that would be something that you're like, okay, so it's fundamentally massively different from legionaries, because you've got this thing that can and it's not like a fly thing, but it's more like the Hearthkin, where you can go straight forward, but the aim is you can deploy within the background field or something like that. And it's like, that would be a great little something that legionaries don't have, whereas it feels like we're reliant on maybe 4 or 5 strap ploys. The only thing that I'm kind of hopeful for is that legionaries, you only get maybe 2 strap ploys and 2 or 1 tac op, because you're generally only playing like sometimes you play only one or two gods, so you don't get a load.
Yes.
Whereas this, they might have a bigger arsenal in terms of, okay, you've got loads more tools. So in a weird way, they might feel more like a something that can fit more bad guy. Like you can go into different teams better by using these strat ploys somehow. I don't know.
Rewarding you using them correctly at the right times and stuff like that.
It's going to be hard to overcome Implacable. Like Implacable for an elite team is probably the single best strategic ploy going. Like, if they don't have something like that, it's going to be hard to have them overcome Legionaries. But I really want them to come over Legionaries. In a weird way, like I'm just intrigued. I love the models. The models look amazing. I don't necessarily need them just because like the team's so easy to kit bash. Like I've only just painted like my 8th Legionary team now, and I've only just painted an official model.
You could definitely just make. Yeah. You could definitely just make that same as I painted my Legionary team as Night Lords. So for me, I'm like,
there you go.
Again, you could probably proxy if you didn't want this team. You probably don't need to get them. I actually did like Dr. Zero in the chat, just talking about their rules. He goes, imagine if they could shadow walk. If they are within conceal and near heavy, they can appear next to another heavy terrain piece within 6 inches. Something like that would be very cool. So that, as opposed to being, like lots of movement shenanigans or being able to pass through terrain, if they're not within line of sight or something like that, very much that out of, like play into that thing that the Night Lords, they are in the shadows, they are the night.
Thanks for watching. The full pod is available where you listen to your podcast. We stream live on Twitch at Casual Wargamers, and the full video podcast is available now to all tiers of our Patreon. See you next week.